2025 has arrived. Will this be another year full of UFO sightings, bold claims, and congressional activity that generate countless UFO-related headlines all around the world? Spoiler alert, of course it will.
Is it UFO or UAP? The government's confusing me. The experts make it complicated. Lack of answers has me jaded. UFO, I don't know. UAP, yeah, I guess so. Searching for answers, where to begin. Round and round in circles again. Thunderstruck by mass confusion. Is it fact or fiction? Convolution. UFO, UAP, which is right idiomatically. Just my luck now, I'm stuck. Scratch my head and say, yeah, what the fuck? UFO or UAP, it's all so confusing to me. Beyond frustrated, damn my luck. Pondering insane thoughts, what the fuck?
Hello, citizens, and welcome to UFO, UAP, WTF. I'm your host, Jason McClellan, and together we'll be exploring the fascinating, enigmatic, and frustrating subject of UFOs. I'm recording this episode at the beginning of January 2025, and as I like to do every year, we're kicking off 2025 with an episode looking forward to the year ahead and what we might have in store for us regarding the UFO subject. 2024 was a pretty wild year for UFOs, but the longer you follow the UFO subject, the clearer it becomes that every year is a wild year for UFOs. Contrary to the lingering misperception, UFOs are extremely common. People from all walks of life see UFOs every day all around the world. And mainstream media outlets from all over the world cover UFO-related stories every day. I think we can safely assume that this will continue to be the case this year. Many celebrated 2024 as a big win for UFOs. Interest in the UFO subject continued at the congressional level as the United States government took center stage in driving the UFO conversation. Multiple congressional UFO hearings took place, official government UFO reports were published, and I think it's safe to say that the government will continue to play a leading role in the discourse associated with UFOs in 2025. We know that more congressional hearings are planned for this year. We also know that there are congressionally mandated UFO reports that will be published by the Pentagon's UFO project, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And we know that several initiatives, organizations, and individuals are loudly and proudly working to lobby and influence politicians and members of Congress to control UFO narratives. So expect lots of headlines this year related to government UFO efforts and politicians publicly discussing the UFO topic. This will also most certainly prompt a dizzying swing from many in the UFO community, gushing over any official government statements or any comments from politicians that are pro-UFO, then pivoting to vilifying the government and politicians when statements and comments are made that don't conform to UFO lore. The same people who are the champions of UFO disclosure become disinformation agents and part of the grand government cover-up very quickly for those who are looking to have personal beliefs bolstered rather than objectively searching for truth. Again, this is very standard in the UFO community. This year will be no different in that regard. Personalities and influencers have always played a large role in driving stories and shaping narratives in any industry. This is certainly the case with UFOs, and we'll see plenty of that this year. And we can't have personalities and influencers in the UFO community without predictions. Every year, there are countless UFO-related predictions made by UFO personalities. These typically involve impending government disclosure, whistleblowers making bombshell admissions, and paradigm-shifting UFO events. And perhaps, unsurprisingly, people who have made such failed predictions in the past are the most likely to repeat this kind of unfortunate behavior again this year. Why do I label predictions as unfortunate behavior? Well, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with having some fun and making guesses about what might happen this year related to UFOs. That's, in essence, what we're doing with this episode, making assumptions about what the year has in store for us. Our assumptions are clearly identified as assumptions and are based on data and previously demonstrated behaviors. UFO predictions differ a bit because of how they are presented. These typically come from personalities who assert or imply their predictions are based on secret insider knowledge they've acquired, and these individuals typically have an established track record of pushing hype and sensationalism to garner personal attention and to bolster their perceived knowledge and celebrity status. And yes, Of course, there are plenty of innocent, harmless UFO predictions made by lots of people every year. There's room for that in UFO discourse. Lots of people in the UFO world get upset when UFOs are presented as anything other than extremely serious. UFOs aren't fun. They aren't a laughing matter. I don't share that view, but I do believe that when some of the loudest voices in the UFO community proclaim and promote predictions, and do so knowing they are intentionally giving false hope to people desperate for answers, that's a big problem. It's shady, it's dishonest, it's unethical, and it's one of those things that keeps the UFO stigma alive. UFO predictions have always been one of my pet peeves in this field, if you can't tell. As we continue to advance technologically, and as we see artificial intelligence integrated into every aspect of our lives, it seems like we should be in a golden era for UFO research. With the tools at our disposal, this year should be the best year ever for UFO research. But realistically, 2025 might be the complete opposite. Evidence has always been an enduring issue with UFO research. There's no shortage of UFO photos and videos, but even since the early days of the modern UFO era, the provenance and legitimacy of these photos and videos has been problematic. From snapping photos of hubcaps tossed in the air, to recording film of garbage can lids suspended from tree branches, hoaxing and pranks have always been obstacles to UFO research. But so have innocent misunderstandings of the inherent issues with imaging. Reflections, double exposures, lens flaring, and countless other imaging issues have resulted in countless UFO sighting reports. These problems compounded with the arrival of digital imaging. And now that artificial intelligence provides anybody with the capability to generate images and videos by simply typing what they want to be created, the evidentiary value of UFO photos and videos is at an all-time low. It's already nearly impossible to distinguish between legitimately photographed or recorded footage from AI-generated content. And I can guarantee this is going to negatively impact UFO research this year. We're sure to see an explosion of fake photos and videos that make their way into headlines, and plenty of people will eat them up, blindly believing their authenticity. This problem has the potential to be compounded because many media outlets have started relying on AI to generate their news stories. If you're not already aware, AI is notoriously bad at accuracy, and has even been caught lying and fabricating details. News, in general, is going to get extremely messy. So far, we've managed to make the likelihood of any meaningful progress in UFO research this year look pretty bleak. But the issues we've highlighted today are good to be aware of as we move into 2025 and you survey and assess UFO information. UFOs are hard. They really are. And a big part of what makes them so hard is how we talk about UFOs. It's easy to get caught up in hype. It's easy to be wowed by important sounding people talking about UFOs. The year just started and we're already seeing headlines about more alleged UFO whistleblowers. But most of the time, these individuals are simply sharing their beliefs based on limited information, taken out of context, and almost always driven by assumption, not fact. We always have to remember that when it comes to UFOs, it can be incredibly difficult to discern what the truth actually is. It doesn't matter who you are, this includes members of Congress. People, regardless of titles or professions, are still human. And humans are incredibly flawed, easily wowed, and eager to believe. And this is all understandable because of how UFOs are routinely discussed. We routinely hear questions posed like, what are UFOs? Are UFOs a threat? And is the government covering up UFOs? The core problem with these is that there is no singular or unified UFO phenomenon. This basic notion right here is perhaps the most significant contributing factor to keeping UFO research in the same spot it's been for decades. This is why historical government UFO projects have reached similar conclusions. Yeah, UFOs are real, most are eventually identified as mundane objects, and some remain unidentified. And you can keep studying all you want, but you won't discover any overarching answer to explain UFOs. Because, as we just discussed, all UFOs are different and have to be investigated independently. This is why previous government UFO programs have terminated, because they realize that it's not worth the time and resources to continue studying a phenomenon that isn't a phenomenon. Ultimately, though, here's the big takeaway for us today. You don't need UFO personalities. You don't need the government. You have everything you need to research UFOs on your own. UFO research is an individual pursuit. We all assess information and evidence for ourselves and then make up our own minds about how, if at all, that information will influence or affect our personal beliefs. And UFOs are everywhere. As I said at the top of the show, and as I frequently say, UFOs are seen every day all around the world by people from all walks of life. Just go outside and look up. I've seen countless UFOs, many of which I was able to identify, and about a dozen or so I've never been able to resolve. But UFOs are everywhere. They aren't controlled by UFO personalities. They aren't controlled by the government. If you want to research UFOs, go for it. As we look ahead to the new year of UFOs, I'll leave you with this. One of my favorite space journalists, Leonard David, recently published a story on space.com titled Understanding UFOs: What Has to Happen in 2025 to Move the UAP Story Forward. It's an interesting read that includes thoughts from a few UFO researchers. I'll provide a link to it in the show notes for this episode, so you can check that out on your own time if you're interested. But that, my friends, concludes our episode for today. As you pursue your UFO research, do what works for you. But consider my 5 recommendations to guide your UFO research quest. Always treat the UFO subject with the cautious and responsible skepticism it deserves. Question everything. Have the courage to form your own opinions. Keep truth as the focus of your quest, even if the truth conflicts with your opinions, and be open to modifying those opinions as you consider new information. And finally, don't be a dick. If you haven't seen it yet, we just revamped our weekly UFO newsletter for the new year. This free weekly newsletter covers the latest UFO-related news, research, events, and more. You can subscribe at UFOUAPWTF.com. I'm Jason McClellan. Thanks for hanging out today. Join me again next time as we try to figure out together what the f*** is up with these UFOs.
UFO, UFO.